Okay, so we are waiting on that blue silicone hose that goes down, connects the EGR cooler to the manifold. It actually should be in the mail today. Hoping to get it here in a couple hours. So I'm getting ready to replace this heater hose right that goes across the back here. From there over to here, because you can see it in the camera. I noticed a pretty bad wear spot right there. So it's easier to replace this now because it screws to the firewall. It's got 2 bolts that hold it to the firewall. And I got the new one in right here. Again, I went with the Ford factory one. And it's got the 2 tabs. And then this quick connection fitting to the bulkhead. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in now. So when I get the blue silicone hose, I'll go over that. We'll install it, be able to put the turbo on, finalize the exhaust pipes, exhaust manifold bolts, get those all tight. And hopefully in a couple days I'll get my glow plug harnesses along with my thickum bushings. And we'll start putting stuff together. I'm waiting to put the fan on until I can put my alternator on, because that makes it easier to get that fan belt on. So put my turbo on, get that all secured, then I can throw my alternator on and then put my belt on, and I'll mount my fan and everything. So thermostat housing's on, but it's the old housing. I took the thermostat out because I'm going to do a chemical flush on it, so it'll run without a thermostat to get a good flush on it before I put in the ELC coolant, Cat 1 spec. So then we give it a good cleaning. Clean this whole engine compartment because it's filthy. Hopefully here soon, a couple days, we'll have this running. I'm still waiting on a few parts, but hopefully start moving forward. I'm going to get the oil cooler bracket made here once I get the heater hose done. Alright, our silicone high temperature heater hose, and it will say silicone heater hose on there. You don't want to use standard heater hose. The temperatures around that EGR cooler is a lot higher. You're going to have leaks that just won't last. Don't count on your parts person to know what a silicone heater hose is. Verify for yourself. I ordered some from a local store. Parts counter guy store it with silicone. I showed him the difference. So I had to order this from somewhere else. I'm also going to be installing that. Here's a cut piece. I've ordered a little extra just so I don't have to worry about sourcing it locally anymore. It's the same hose. And then I'm going to install it using spring clamps. I'm going to double up on the clamps on the EGR cooler size since there's no lip on it, clamping lip. The reason why I'm using spring clamps is due to the location. It's hard to go back in there and tighten them up if you use a worm gear type clamp. The spring clamps will automatically keep constricting as the hose flexes, so you won't have to readjust. That's the main reason. And they offer a good seal all the way around. Okay, here's that hose attached. Here's with the hose installed and the turbo pedestal installed. Drain tubes ready to go. Get ready to mount the turbo in there. Then we'll finish tightening up all the exhaust bolts, and should be good to go. Keep on moving. Alright, just pulled out the last few items that I need to clean. I'm going to degrease them, scrub them up real good, and then you'll start putting some of this stuff on. It's mainly the fan shroud, fan, battery tray, intake tubes, cac tubes. So I'll get them all cleaned up before I put them on the truck. Bolt those on there, and we're just waiting for the hoses. Alright, so got quite a bit done here. I have to try to find something to replace this with. I think I can get one on eBay or something. Well, we got the turbo in. And just as if anybody does this, just for some advice, make sure you don't have the Y pipe to exhaust manifold bolts tightened down. I had them loose. And also don't tighten down the Y pipe to the EGR manifold until you get your turbo seated into the Y pipe. So once I did that, everything fell right into place. When I started, I had the EGR cooler clamped down tight onto the Y pipe, and it was just would not allow the turbo to line up to the Y pipe. So loosen that clamp off, turbo slid in, got everything set up. Got my oil feed tube in, get everything wired up. You can see that silicone blue hose down there. That will be needed if you use the bulletproof adapter plate with an EGR cooler. I got all my exhaust pipes, down pipes, everything's tightened down. I went ahead and installed new glow plug harnesses on both sides. Got all my wiring set up. Got a new fuel filter in. Got the blue spring mod done. This I just cleaned out. Nothing's going through it. It's just there to mount the fuel filter bowl. Otherwise we wouldn't need this. So even though this is not a Ford cap, I left it on there because it doesn't do any purpose right now. So got the FICM in. I had to order 4 more bushings. I was missing 4, so those will show up. The other thing I was missing is the heat shield for the turbo. You can see it's missing, so that's on order. Hopefully be getting it here in a week or so. I got the battery tray in. I got the intake tube, but I'm still looking for the clamps. Might have to order some new ones. Now that I got the harness in, I'm going to put my other turbo pipe on, try to finish up everything here. I did find some exhaust leaks, or I'm sorry, vacuum leaks. There's a T coming out of this. This is just one I found. There's a T coming out of that. When I turned it on earlier to check the FICM voltage, because I hadn't checked the FICM voltage on this one, I want to make sure the FICM was reporting 48 volts. It was, but I noticed my vacuum pump wouldn't shut off. So I found a busted T right here. So this is a spare one I found. I just got to get it tied into the other 2 pieces. So we'll get that going. I'm thinking they probably had some vacuum issues there before because the front hubs are locked in. So interesting, I thought. But everything else, I got finishing up. Did get my batteries in there. Like I said, I want to check my FICM voltage, and I was in a good point for that. They have an exhaust temperature probe on here, but they didn't have it hooked up to anything. It was just wired up here, so I reinstalled it on the exhaust manifold, and if I get a gauge, I'll put it on there, or the next owner can. So at this point, I'll go ahead and put the other turbo pipe onto the intercooler. That'll be finished over there. This side I'm waiting because I want to be able to get to my FICM. Hopefully those parts show up, but that's not a big deal. So once I get that pipe in, I locate these pipes, I'll start working on the front here. So this thing, as you can see, the air conditioning condenser is pretty trashed. I'm not even going to try to replace it. I mean, clean it up. So I'm just going to replace it. I actually just got it in, a replacement one. So we'll pull my brackets off that I made for my oil cooler mount, and then replace this air conditioning condenser, and then I can start putting everything back together, the header, headlights, grill, and then probably hold off on the bumper and maybe the grill as well, just to make sure I run it and make sure there's no leaks. So it's just coming along. Definitely took longer, mainly waiting on parts. It's just been horrible waiting on parts. I really can't believe how delayed it is because of this whole flue bug issue. We'll get her up and running. I'm looking forward to cleaning this disgusting engine compartment. I don't think it was ever cleaned. You can see. And normally I would clean an engine before tearing apart, but since they already had it half tore down, I did not want to run the risk of causing some damage with water getting into things. So hopefully soon we'll be hearing it run. I'll show you my cool little scanner, what I use, check thickened voltage, pressure, oil pressures, and everything else. Actually, I've used the heck out of this thing. I really enjoy it. So stay tuned. I'll make another video just on that, probably. Some of the things I've done. Alright. Okay, so it's been kind of time consuming trying to find all the little pieces that I'm missing, little bolts and stuff like that. But good news is I think I got everything installed in the engine compartment. Had to order that shield for the turbo. That just came in this week. Found some bolts that fit perfectly for it. Had to cut too short. But so we got that on. We got the fitting for the oil return line. So I'm just going to slide the hose on there once I route it. The glow plug injector glow plug harnesses are installed. Everything on the fan side is installed. The turbo pipes are loose because I want to be able to move them out of the way if I need to run the hoses for the oil cooler, oil filter setup. Got the new coolant reservoir bottle. All the fittings down there, all attached. Got the filter in, the PCB hose on there. Some parts were missing, but I was able to, I had some spares from my excursion, just after doing the mods. So you can see, still got to put the hoses on here. Got to put the hoses on the cooler hose, or the clamps on the hose here, and on the bottom of the radiator. But I got my brackets made for my oil cooler mounting. But after working on it, and this thing was damaged to start with, and it'll affect the cooling of the truck in general. I'm just going to go ahead, and we decided we were going to replace this condenser. I'm not going to spend the time to comb out the fins or anything like that. And then if you notice, get real close, you can see there's these little stones in there all over the place. So I'm just going to, already evacuated the refrigerant. I'm going to replace that. Then I'm going to put my oil cooler brackets on, oil cooler, then the header plate, headlights, and then from there start routing the hoses, and we should be good. Keep it going. And once we get everything mounted, I'm going to leave the bumper off and the grill off until I run it with pressure for a bit to make sure there's no leaks, because that oil cooler lines are going to be coming through here. So stay tuned. Let's keep working on it. We got the new condenser on. Got my brackets there. I'm going to set my header, grill header on so I can line up my oil cooler, and then I'll have to notch out one of the brackets. But that's the new condenser and my brackets. I painted them. So once I notch out the one on the right, should be able to finish up the oil cooler.
I have the oil cooler installed now. You can see the studs are still there. I left them so I can mount the fan if I decide to go that route. This is a 40-row stacked plate style cooler. It's supposed to be the most efficient design. I want to thank all military members, veterans, and their family members for keeping this great land safe. Also want to thank all our police officers and their families for keeping us safe as well. Thank you, and be safe out there.